Chapter 15, Hook or Me this time. Odd things often happen without us even noticing. Such was the case with Peter's ticking. A few minutes earlier, on his way to the boat, Peter had passed by the crocodile and noticed that he was no longer making noise. After a moment's thought, he realized that the clock must have finally wound down. Peter knew that the beasts on the island feared the crocodile and avoided the ticking sound. Without even thinking about it, he began to imitate the ticking so that he could pass through the forest unbothered. The crocodile heard this, and perhaps because he missed the sound, he began to follow Peter. As Peter swam, newly ticking, to the boat, he had one thought about the upcoming battle. Hook or me this time. Only one of them would walk away alive, he vowed. One of the pirates spotted Peter as he was climbing up the side of the boat. Before he could cry out, John clamped his hands over the pirate's mouth. The other boys quickly caught him and tossed him overboard with a gentle splash. The pirates were now looking over the other side of the boat, searching for the crocodile. Peter, who had temporarily stopped ticking, tiptoed into the cabin below decks. "I think it's gone, Captain," Smee said. "Well, then here's to Johnny Plank," Hook cried, in an even worse mood now because the boys had seen him scared. He started to sing, yo ho, the frisky plank, you walks along it so, till it goes down and you goes down to the dark water below. Hook paused. "Now tell me," he said, not unkindly, "would you like a bit of snack before you go? There are some sandwiches in the cabin." "No," the boys cried, not only because they weren't hungry, but because Peter was hiding in the cabin. "I can't very well send you off to the depths below on empty stomachs, can I?" Hook asked. "Jukes, go get the sandwiches." "Aye, aye," Jukes said, and went inside. Within seconds there was a dreadful cry from inside the cabin. The cry was followed by a strange crowing sound which confused the pirates, but which the boys understood perfectly. "What is that noise?" Hook asked. "Is that a bird? Someone go check on Bill Jukes." The Italian Secco went inside for a peek and then ran out pale. "Bill Jukes is gone," he reported. "Gone?" the other pirates asked. "I can't see what. It's too dark in there. But there's something in there, crowing," Secco said. "Go and bring it to me," Hook demanded. "Don't make me," Secco cried, but seeing Hook flex his claw, Secco obeyed. Within seconds there was another screech and then more crowing. "Who's going to bring me that rooster?" Hook demanded. "Did you volunteer, Starkey?" "My hook seems to think you did." "I'd rather swing," Starkey said in a low voice, and the rest of the pirates mumbled in agreement. "Is this mutiny?" Hook said, "with Starkey as the ringleader?" He extended his claw. "Perhaps you would like to shake my hand, Starkey," he said. Starkey looked around for help but found none. Hook advanced with a gleam in his eye. Before Hook could get him, Starkey jumped on the pirate's cannon, shimmied out to its edge, and threw himself into the sea. "Never mind," Hook muttered. "I'll go get that rooster myself." A minute later, Hook came staggering out without his lantern. "Something blew out my light," he said, shaking, "and Secco is missing." Pirates are a superstitious bunch, and this was too much for them. "This ship's cursed," one of them muttered. "Haunted," the others agreed. Knowing it was Peter, Michael giggled. Hook noticed this. It gave him an idea. "Open the cabin door and push the lost boys in," he suggested. "If they kill the bird, so much better, and if it kills them, we're none the worse. We're going to kill them anyway." The boys pretended to cry and struggle as they were pushed inside. "Now let's listen," Hook said, and the pirates all crowded around the door. Meanwhile, Peter had found the key to unlock the boys' chains. They looked for weapons while Peter snuck out through an opposite porthole and cut Wendy's bonds. They could have flown away, but Peter had vowed that it was Hook or him this time. He told Wendy to go hide with the boys, wrapped himself in her cloak, and took her place on the mast. Then he took a deep breath and crowed. The pirates were terrified. Had the crow killed all the boys? Would it kill them next? "Lads," Hook suggested, "perhaps our run of bad luck is due to the lady we have on board. Let's get rid of her and see if our luck changes." "Throw her overboard," the pirates cried, and rushed at the figure in the cloak. "There's no one who can save you now," the pirates hissed. "There's one person," the figure on the mast replied in a strangely low voice. "Peter Pan." As he spoke, Peter threw off the cloak and revealed his face. Suddenly, everyone understood what was happening. "Get him!" Hook cried, but not very convincingly. He sensed that Peter was about to best him once again, and it was too much for him. Hook's fierce heart broke. "Fight!" Peter cried. The boys burst out of the cabin, and a fierce battle with the pirates began. The pirates were stronger, but the boys were smarter and fought in pairs. Some of the pirates jumped overboard, while others ran away and hid. Finally, only Hook was left. The boys surrounded him. Even alone, he was strong and brave and kept them away using nothing but his hook. He lifted one boy up with it, and it used him as a shield. Peter jumped into the circle. "Stand back," he cried. "This man is mine." For a long time, the enemies just looked at each other. "So," Hook said, "this is all you're doing?" "It is," Peter crowed. "Cocky, arrogant boy," Hook said, "prepare to meet your end." "And you," Peter cried. A dramatic sword fight followed, during which both man and boy fought bravely. Finally, Hook moved to get Peter with his iron hand. Peter ducked and lunged with his sword, piercing Hook in the ribs. Hook stared down at the wound in surprise. As you may recall, the only blood he could not stand to look at was his own. He dropped his sword. "Now," the boys cried. It was time to finish Hook off. They lunged forward, but Peter put up his hand, stopping them. "Pick up your sword," he told Hook, who obeyed. "What are you?" Hook asked. "How is it possible that you have beaten me? You cannot be just an ordinary boy." "I am not an ordinary boy," Peter said. "I am youth. I am joy. I am a little bird that has just escaped its shell. And above all, I am fair." Hook narrowed his eyes. "Enough," he said. "Back to the fight." He swung his sword around wildly. Anyone else would have been hit, but Peter ducked as if the wind were working to protect him, blowing him just the right distance this way and that. Desperate, Hook ran off and returned with a grenade. "In 2 minutes," he cried when he returned, "this ship will be blown to bits." But Peter had just picked up the grenade and threw it overboard. Hook hated how calmly and bravely Peter was behaving. Peter was showing, could it possibly be, good form? The thought of this was too much to bear. As the boys drew closer, Hook barely even saw them. His mind was elsewhere, back in his school days when he had first learned of good form. Seeing Peter advancing with his sword, Hook turned and stood at the edge of the boat, looking down at the sea. He saw that the crocodile was there waiting for him. Peter kicked him overboard. As Hook fell, he realized, much to his delight, that his kick was actually very bad form. Feeling superior, Hook went happily to the crocodile. With the fight at last over, Wendy emerged from the cabin below. The boys danced around, pointing out all the places where they had fought. "Yes, yes, you were very brave, boys," Wendy said. "But it's past your bedtime. Let's get into the pirates' bunks, messy as they are, and get some rest." All of the boys went down to sleep except Peter. He fell asleep up on deck, next to the pirate's cannon. Wendy sat next to him the whole time, softly rubbing his head to protect him from bad dreams.